broadcasting from Washington, D.C. now in the first program of 2010. I would like to recommend any points in the show that need more documentation and so forth. Take a look at Tarpley.net, Tarpley.net, the new, improved, upgraded Tarpley.net. Very active website, something up there, something new just about every day this week. So if you've seen it in the last couple of weeks, you better go back to it because there's some very important articles up there. Trying to follow this stuff day by day, and you can do it too on Tarpley.net. You can also get the Bush Bio for free. Download it anytime you want. We've got a topic we'll be getting to in the end of this hour, the Iceland crisis. We've got a call to the people of the world to support Iceland against the financial blackmail of the British, Dutch, and the IMF by Birgitta Jónsdóttir, leader of the anti-financier forces, the National Independence, National Sovereignty, and National Unity forces, the nationalists, in other words, in Iceland, and a very good, courageous group of people they are. But now let's look at the interesting development of the past week. I've argued for 2 years now, since that landmark release on January 7th, 2008, which you can see at Tarpley.net, minus the pictures that I had, but the idea is clear. Obama's a Wall Street puppet. Obama knows he's a Wall Street puppet. Obama knows that his career has been sponsored by Zbigniew Brzezinski, the late Samuel Huntington, and others of the trilateral Bilderberger Wall Street group. Since 1981-82, he's been given various critical helping hands at various critical points, making his opposition disappear in elections, getting him a publisher when he needed one as a means of funneling money to him. And, of course, then the massive assistance of the trilateral networks in terms of money, contacts, press whores, and whatever in 07-08 when he was making his postmodern coup run for the presidency. Obama knows he's a CIA puppet. He intends to remain, a Wall Street puppet. CIA would be the Business International Corporation. He's been put through that, too. But let's call him a Wall Street puppet because this is largely the reality. There comes, however, a moment in the life of every puppet when they're confronted with the idea that they're an expendable puppet, an expendable, throwaway puppet. And in some ways, this has arrived for Obama. And it arrived with that Christmas patsy, Omar Farouk Muttalab, in the skies over Detroit on Christmas Day. And that's a shock. It's a shock even if you know that it's coming. It's like, Mephistopheles is going to come for you, but better later than sooner. But then when he arrives, it's always going to be a shock. So here is what we have. I was watching the countdown program of Keith Olbermann on MSNBC. That's where you go to see the pro-Obama line, just as you can get the anti-Obama line over on Fox, and then you get sort of a middle position on CNN these days. But here's the thing. We had this guy, Richard Wolff. Now, normally when Richard Wolff comes on, I cringe. This is an effete British expatriate, I guess, coming over here and doing American political commentary with his degrees from Oxford. He's going to be the one to tell you about what's going on in blue-collar America down there in Pennsylvania and Ohio and Kentucky and Tennessee. Well, no. But he did have something very important to say. What has happened this week is that the pro-Obama people realize that the secret government, the rogue network, the invisible government inside the intelligence agencies have done something which furthers their geopolitical designs vis-a-vis Yemen, Somalia, Pakistan, and the rest of the aggressive program. But it's also very bad politically for Obama. And here's what we get. This comes on Monday evening, and here's Richard Wolff, Wolffe, I believe, and he says, I was speaking to White House sources earlier today, and it's clear that Obama is still deeply concerned and troubled, even angry, over the intelligence lapses they see. And, of course, it's impossible for these things to be simple bungling. It's got to be conscious sabotage. Let me just bracket that. It's clear the president is still deeply concerned and troubled, even angry, at the intelligence lapses. But they see this as more than an intelligence lapse, more than a situation of airport security faults. So the question is, why didn't the centralized system of intelligence that was set up after 9/11, why didn't it work? Is it a conspiracy, or cock up. Now, cock up is the charming British phrase for screw up or snafu or something like this. Let me stress that again, though. It's a word you don't often hear on MSNBC. Is it a conspiracy or a cock up, a screw up? Conspiracy or screw up is the question coming from the Obama White House. Hey, at that point, you're dealing with something interesting. Another question from Richard Wolff to Olbermann. Is it a case of the agencies having so much rivalry between them that they were more determined to stymie each other or the centralized system rather than the terrorist threat? Or was it just that there were so many dots that no one could connect them because it was all just too random to figure out? It seems that the president is leaning very much towards thinking this was a systemic failure by individuals who maybe had an alternative agenda. Oh, first we had conspiracy, now we have alternative agenda. Now, in summarizing this, Olbermann comes back and says, Richard Wolff reports that White House sources, top-level White House people, think that this was intentional conspiracy, alternative agenda, intentional, and that it had two possible goals. One is the turf war. The other one is, quote, to make somebody look bad, unquote. The somebody being Obama. That's the one that Obama cares about, unfortunately. So the question, therefore, this then focused tremendous interest on the fact that on Tuesday, the second business day of the new year, that Obama was going to make a speech. So this stuff came out on the stuff began on the 4th, and we then had Obama making the speech the next day. So during that night, I wrote this important article here. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. Obama White House probing rogue network of moles behind the Christmas Detroit patsy fiasco, reports Richard Wolff of MSNBC. And my first line is, officials in the Obama White House are considering the possibility that the Christmas Day attempt by Nigerian terrorist Umar Farouk Mutalab to blow up an airliner about to land in Detroit was deliberately and intentionally facilitated by unnamed networks inside the U.S. intelligence community. This was a gist of a report by Richard Wolff delivered in this evening's edition of the cable network NBC's Countdown program hosted by Olbermann. So the big question then became, what would Obama do the next day on Tuesday? Back in a minute.